The sun was slowly rising over the hills of Oloko village. Birds were singing in the tall trees. But far from the sound of joy, a little girl walked barefoot on a narrow path. Her name was Zina, and she was only 7 years old. Her feet were dirty, her dress was torn, her hair was full of dust. Her small hand was held tightly by her stepmother, Mama Benta, who walked fast and silent. Mama Benta, Zina whispered. Where are we going? Mama Benta didn't answer. Zina was confused. She had woken up before the sun. Mama Benta had pulled her out of bed and told her to dress quickly. She gave her old clothes, no shoes, and no food. Now they were deep inside the forest. Far from the village, Zina's stomach growled. Her legs hurt. Her heart beat fast. Mama, she said again, are we going to the market? Still no answer. Then Mama Benta stopped. She looked around. There, behind some tall grass, was a big hole in the ground. The hole was dark and deep. It had been dug by someone with strong hands. Zina felt fear. Mama, she said softly. What is that? But Mama Benta didn't reply. Her eyes were cold. She dragged Zina forward. Then, with no warning, she pushed her. Zina screamed as her small body fell into the pit. She landed on her side with a hard thud. Pain shot through her leg. Her hands were scratched. She cried out, Mama, please don't leave me. She looked up, but Mama Benta was already walking away. No, Mama, I will be good, I promise. Zina cried, but Mama Benta didn't stop. She disappeared into the trees without looking back. Zina lay in the hole, shaking. The sky above her was small. The pit walls were too high for her to climb. She tried, but her fingers slipped on the dirt. She screamed again and again, but no one came. The forest was quiet. Only the sound of wind and the buzzing of flies could be heard. That morning, Zina stayed in the pit, hoping Mama Benta would come back. She didn't. The sun climbed higher. It became hot. Zina cried and shouted. Her voice grew weak. Her body was tired. By evening, she had no tears left. She curled up in a corner and whispered to herself, why did Mama leave me? What did I do? She thought of her real mother, Aminata, who had died 2 years ago from sickness. Zina had been 5. Her father, Papa Salyu, was heartbroken. He married Mama Binta 6 months later, hoping to give Zina a new mother. At first, Mama Binta acted kind. She cooked for Zina. She brushed her hair. She told her bedtime stories. But things changed. Mama Benta became harsh. She shouted when Zina made mistakes. She stopped giving her good food. She hit her for small things, and now she had thrown her into a pit. That night, Zina couldn't sleep. She was cold. Her stomach hurt. Her throat was dry. She cried quietly, her voice too soft for the wind to carry. I don't want to die, she whispered. The next day was worse. The sun burned her skin. Her lips cracked. She had no strength to scream anymore. She watched ants crawl near her fingers. She listened to birds that didn't care. She was trapped. By the 3rd day, Zina stopped trying to stand. Her belly was empty. Her legs hurt. Her eyes closed often, but deep in her heart, a tiny hope still burned. Someone will find me, she told herself in her mind. Someone kind, someone good. And far away, not yet close, but coming, was the sound of wheels on a road, and the footsteps of a stranger who would change everything. On the 5th day, the wind carried dust across the trees. The forest was quiet, as if it had forgotten the little girl inside the pit. Zina lay still. Her lips were dry. Her eyes barely opened. She was too weak to cry. Her small body shook every time the wind blew. She whispered softly, Mama? Papa, please. But no one heard. Until, a black SUV drove down the nearby bush road. The tires crunched over dry leaves. The car stopped. Out stepped a tall man wearing black clothes and dark glasses. His name was Mr. Obina, a rich man. Known in many towns, but nobody really knew him. Some said he owned gold mines. Others said he helped build schools. But no one had seen him in Oloko before. He told his driver, wait here. I want to walk a bit. He walked into the forest alone. He wasn't looking for anything. He just wanted peace. His heart had been heavy lately. He had everything. Big houses, cars, but he felt empty inside. He walked slowly, looking at the trees, when suddenly, He stopped. He heard something. It was very faint, like a whisper, like the voice of a dying bird. He turned his head. "What was that?" he said. Aloud, he listened again. "Help." It was weak, but it was real. He followed the sound through the grass and bushes. His eyes scanned the ground. Then he saw Ita's small pit. He moved closer, careful not to fall in. Inside he saw Zina. Her face was covered in dust, her eyes half closed. She looked like a broken doll. "My God," he whispered. "What happened to this child?" He dropped to his knees beside the pit. "Little girl, can you hear me?" Zina's eyes opened slowly. She saw a shadow above her. Was it another dream? "Please, don't leave me," she whispered. "I won't, I promise," Obina said. His voice was strong but soft. He stood quickly and shouted, toward the road, "Call the ambulance. Bring the medical team, now." Within minutes, his private ambulance and staff arrived. They brought ropes, blankets, and first aid. Carefully, they lowered a man into the pit and lifted Zina out. She was barely breathing. Obina held her hand. "You are safe now, my child," he said. They rushed her to the SUV. The nurse gave her water. A medic checked her heartbeat. "She's weak," the medic said, "but still alive. We must move fast." They drove straight to the private hospital in the city. On the way, Obina sat beside her, holding her tiny hand the whole time. Zina opened her eyes once. She looked at him. "Are you an angel?" she asked, in a voice barely above a whisper. Obina smiled. "No, just a man who found a little girl too strong to die." That night, Zina slept in a soft hospital bed. She had warm blankets, clean clothes, and medicine. Doctors and nurses moved around the room, checking her often. The next morning, when she opened her eyes, a gentle woman with warm eyes was sitting beside her. "Hello, my dear," the woman said. "My name is Mama F. I work with Mr. Obina. You are safe now." Zina looked around. The white walls, the clean sheets, the smiling nurse. She blinked, trying to understand. "Can I stay?" she asked in a small voice. Mama F nodded, tears in her eyes. "Yes, my love. You are not going back to that pain. You are home now." Mr. Obina came into the room. He bent down and looked at Zina. "From today, your life begins again," he said gently. Zina tried to smile. It was small, but it was real. The little girl from the pit had been found, but the story was just beginning. Zina sat in a big hospital bed, too soft to be real. The blanket was clean and white. The air smelled like flowers and medicine. She was wearing new clothes, and her skin had been cleaned, but her eyes still showed pain. A gentle woman sat beside her. Her name was Mama F, the wife of the rich man who found her. She smiled warmly and held Zina's small hand. "You're safe now, child," Mama F said softly. "No one will hurt you here." Zina didn't know what to say. Her throat still felt tight. Her voice was small. "Can I stay here with you?" she whispered. Mama F's eyes filled with tears. She nodded and pulled Zina into a hug. "Yes, my dear. From today you are part of our family." Just then, the door opened. The tall man in the black suit entered. Obina, the man who had pulled her from the pit. He smiled kindly at her. "Hello, Zina, I'm happy to see you awake." Zina blinked. His voice was deep, but soft. She had never seen a man like him. He had power, but also peace. "Are you an angel?" she asked shyly. Obina chuckled. "No, Zina, I'm not an angel. But maybe God used me to find you." 1 week later, Zina left the hospital and entered a world she never imagined. The mansion stood tall like a palace, with glass windows and golden lights. The gates were wide and guarded. Trees lined the long driveway. It was like a dream. She held Mama F's hand as they entered the house. Everything inside sparkled: shiny floors, big rooms, fresh food, and soft couches. But the thing that made Zina smile for the first time was a boy. He ran up to her in the hallway. He had curly hair, bright eyes, and the biggest smile. "Hi, I'm Toby," he said excitedly. "Do you like Spider-Man? I have 3 lunch boxes with him on it." Zina looked at him, confused. No one had spoken to her like that before. No one had wanted to play with her. She nodded slowly. "Yes," she whispered. "Good," Toby said. You're my new sister now. Come see my room." And just like that, a friendship began. Days turned into weeks. Zena's skin became brighter. Her smile returned. She played in the garden, ate hot meals, and laughed at Toby's silly jokes. Obina and Mama F treated her like their own child. They bought her clothes, books, and toys. But more than that, they gave her love. At night, Mama F tucked her into bed and kissed her forehead. "You are not what happened to you, Zena," she said one night. "You are who you choose to become." Zena thought about those words for a long time. She remembered the pit. She remembered her cold eyes. She remembered the hunger, the pain, the fear. But now, she was no longer in that hole. She was in a room filled with warmth and light. One evening it rained outside. The sky was gray. Zena stood by the big window and watched the raindrops slide down the glass. Obina came and stood beside her. "Something wrong?" he asked. Zena didn't look at him. Her voice was quiet. "Do you think my real papa looked for me?" Obina didn't speak for a while. Then he said, "Sometimes, the ones who should love us don't know how. But the world still brings us people who will." Zena nodded slowly. A tear rolled down her cheek. But it was not just from sadness. It was also from healing. In the weeks that followed, Zena began school with Toby. She was shy at first, but Mama F helped her. She got her a tutor. She read books with her every night. Slowly, Zena began to grow. She was no longer the girl from the pit. She was Zena Obenaloved, protected, and rising. But deep in her heart, the question still remained. Where was her real father? And would he ever know what happened? Years passed, like leaves carried by the wind. Zena was no longer a sad girl in torn clothes. She had grown tall, strong, and beautiful. She studied hard. She helped others. She smiled with her heart now. She was 18 years old. Everyone called her Zena Obina. She lived in love, in safety, and in hope. But deep inside, one question still lived like a whisper in her chest. Where is my real father? One morning, Zena sat in the big hospital in Abuja, where she was now training as a nurse. She wore her white uniform proudly. Just as she was about to go for lunch, a nurse ran into the staff room. "Zena, there is a patient who asked for help. His wife is very sick. He's looking for a doctor, but also for a girl named Zena." Zena froze. Her name, why? She rushed to the waiting room, and there he was, an older man, thin, tired, but his eyes looked familiar. They were soft and deep, just like hers. He looked up, his mouth opened in shock. "Zena," he whispered. Zena stepped forward slowly. "Are you?" Her voice trembled. The man fell to his knees. His hands shook. Tears rolled down his cheeks. "My child, my Zena, they told me you died. Binta told me you were taken by strangers. I searched. I asked everyone. I even went to the police." Zena stared at him, heart pounding. "You didn't know?" she asked. "I swear," he cried. "I didn't. She lied to me. She told me you ran away." Zena's legs felt weak. She sat beside him, tears in her eyes. And then he said, "Please, help her, help Benta. She's sick. The doctors say she has a tumor in her brain." Zena was quiet for a long time. Her heart was heavy. The woman who had thrown her into a pit was now lying in a hospital bed, near death. And now her hands, her kind hands, were the ones being asked to help. She walked into the room slowly. Mama Benta lay there, pale and thin. Her eyes opened when she saw Zena. She gasped, "Zena, you're alive." Zena nodded. "Why did you come?" "I am a nurse now. I'm here to help the sick." Benta started to cry. "I don't deserve your kindness." "No," Zena said. Softly, "You don't." She stepped closer. "But I didn't come for revenge. I came because I chose a different path." Binta wept. "I was jealous of your mother. I was angry your father still loved her. I was wrong. I was cruel." Zena's voice did not shake. "You left me to die in the ground. But I survived, not because of you but in spite of you." Binta looked down in shame. "Can you forgive me?" Zena was quiet. "I can't forget," she said. "But I won't carry hate either. You tried to bury me, but I grew." The surgery was done. Zena helped prepare the room. She made sure Ben was safe and cared for. When her father saw what she had done, he cried again. "You are not just my daughter," he said. "You are my light." Zena smiled. I wanted to hate you, Papa, but I'm glad you didn't know the truth. He held her hands. Thank you for giving me a second chance. Back at the Obina mansion, Xena stood on the balcony. Toby joined her, now taller, still full of jokes. You okay? He asked. Xena nodded slowly. Yes. The past is behind me. Toby smiled. You were thrown into a pit, but you rose like a queen. Xena laughed for the first time that day. It was the sound of freedom now. Her story was no longer about pain. It was about power, healing, and the heart of a girl who refused to stay buried.